Have you ever wondered if the path to peace and happiness isn't about adding more to your life, but learning to let go? In a world obsessed with constant growth, endless goals, and the pursuit of perfection, could the secret to true freedom be found in embracing simplicity, awareness, and a deeper understanding of ourselves? Welcome to our journey into the profound teachings of Buddhism, a philosophy that doesn't just offer answers, but teaches us how to ask the right questions. What if everything you've believed about yourself, the stories you've told, the desires you've chased, the fears you've avoided isn't the whole truth? What if the self you've spent your life building is an illusion, and the key to liberation lies in understanding that? In this video, we'll dive into the transformative lessons Buddhism offers, how to live with mindfulness, why our endless desires lead to suffering, and how letting go of ego can lead to lasting joy. We'll explore practical ways to integrate these ancient teachings into our modern lives, share real-life stories of transformation, and uncover how this timeless wisdom continues to resonate today. But before we embark on this fascinating exploration, I need your support. If you're ready to challenge your perspective, gain insights that could change your life, and join a community of seekers just like you, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with others who need it, and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement helps us bring more thought-provoking content to you and others looking for answers in a chaotic world. Now, let's begin. Open your mind, set aside your assumptions, and prepare to see the world, and yourself, in a completely new light. Buddhism stands apart from traditional religions because it does not impose faith in dogmas, gods, or sacred texts. Instead, it focuses on understanding the self and transcending the illusions of life. Buddhist teachings offer a practical philosophy rather than a theology, challenging us to confront the nature of reality and our place within it. Central to Buddhism is the concept that much of human suffering stems from our desires, attachments, and ignorance. Unlike the certainty offered by conventional religious systems, Buddhism provides tools for individual exploration and enlightenment. In essence, Buddha taught that the idea of God is a human construct. It is a projection born from our vulnerabilities and uncertainties. People often cling to the belief in a divine figure because it provides comfort and a sense of purpose. For example, the image of a God who controls everything can bring solace, much like the reassurance that an airplane has a competent pilot. However, Buddha turned this notion on its head, arguing that the absence of a pilot or God is a truer reflection of our reality. This lack of divine oversight forces individuals to take responsibility for their lives rather than attributing events to divine will. This perspective resonates in today's world, where many struggle with existential questions. Consider a person who finds comfort in believing that their hardships are part of a divine plan. Without that belief, they may feel overwhelmed. Buddhist teachings, however, encourage us to accept that chaos and randomness are inherent in life. This acceptance, though unsettling, can lead to liberation. By recognizing that no external entity is orchestrating our lives, we become empowered to shape our destinies. Buddha's analysis of desire provides profound insights into human behavior. He taught that desire is insatiable. It constantly shifts, creating an endless cycle of longing and dissatisfaction. Think of someone who dreams of buying a house. After years of hard work, they finally achieve their goal, only to realize they now want a bigger house or more luxurious possessions. This cycle mirrors the experience of modern consumerism, where people are driven to acquire more, believing it will bring happiness, only to find that the void within them remains unfulfilled. The Buddhist teachings highlight that the nature of desire is such that it can never be truly satisfied. Whether through material possessions, achievements, or relationships, people are often chasing something just out of reach. This insight can be observed in the relentless pursuit of wealth in capitalist societies, where success is measured by accumulation. However, even those who reach the pinnacle of material success often report feeling empty. The Buddha's solution was not to suppress desire, but to transcend it by understanding its nature. Once we see desire for what it is, a projection of our discontent, it loses its power over us. Another cornerstone of Buddhism is the concept of no self. Buddha taught that the self is an illusion, a construct created by our minds. This idea is revolutionary because it challenges the foundation of how most people perceive their identity. The notion that we are separate, individual entities is a delusion rooted in our attachment to the body and mind. In truth, we are interconnected, part of a larger whole. Imagine the Earth's continents. On a map, they appear separate, but beneath the oceans, they are connected as one landmass. Similarly, our perceived separateness is superficial. This understanding of no self can be liberating. It frees us from the constraints of ego and the endless quest for validation. Consider the modern obsession with social media, where people often seek likes, comments, and shares to feel valued. This craving for external validation stems from a misunderstanding of the self. When we let go of this illusion, we realize that our worth is not dependent on others' opinions. This shift in perspective can transform how we interact with the world, fostering compassion and reducing conflicts born from ego-driven desires. Buddhism's practicality lies in its emphasis on direct experience over blind belief. Buddha encouraged his followers to test his teachings through personal practice rather than accepting them on faith. This scientific approach to spirituality aligns with the growing emphasis on mindfulness in contemporary culture. Practices like meditation, which originated in Buddhism, have been embraced globally for their benefits in reducing stress and enhancing well-being. For instance, a busy professional might use mindfulness meditation to navigate the pressures of their job, finding clarity and focus amidst chaos. One of Buddha's most striking assertions was the rejection of metaphysics. He dismissed speculative questions about the universe's origin or the existence of an afterlife, considering them distractions from the pursuit of enlightenment. Instead, he urged his followers to focus on the present moment. This teaching is particularly relevant in today's fast-paced world, where people are often consumed by worries about the future or regrets about the past. By anchoring ourselves in the now, we can break free from these mental burdens and experience life more fully. The Buddha's critique of traditional religious practices extends to the concept of heaven. He argued that the idea of heaven is a projection of unfulfilled desires. People imagine a paradise where all their wishes are granted, but this vision only perpetuates the cycle of craving. A relatable example is the common belief in happily ever after in romantic relationships. While the idea is comforting, it often sets unrealistic expectations, leading to disappointment. By recognizing that true contentment comes from within rather than external circumstances, we can cultivate a deeper sense of peace. Buddha's teachings on interconnectedness also challenge the divisive tendencies of human nature. He emphasized that all beings are part of the same universal consciousness, a perspective that can foster empathy and reduce conflict. This idea is particularly relevant in addressing global challenges like climate change, where collective action is essential. By understanding our interconnectedness, we are more likely to act in ways that benefit the whole rather than just ourselves. The relevance of Buddhism in the modern era lies in its adaptability and timeless wisdom. Buddha's teachings provide a framework for addressing universal human struggles, from the dissatisfaction of desire to the illusions of self and separation. They offer a path not of escape but of transformation, encouraging individuals to awaken to the truth of their existence. In practical terms, this transformation involves cultivating awareness, compassion, and acceptance. By integrating these principles into daily life, we can navigate challenges with greater resilience and clarity. For instance, a parent dealing with the stresses of raising children can find solace in mindfulness, approaching each moment with patience and understanding. Similarly, a student overwhelmed by academic pressures can use meditation to regain focus and perspective. Buddhism's emphasis on personal responsibility is another aspect that makes it particularly appealing. Unlike doctrines that attribute events to divine will or fate, Buddhism empowers individuals to take control of their lives. This empowerment is evident in practices like the Eightfold Path, which provides a guide for ethical living and mental development. By following this path, individuals can cultivate qualities like mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion, leading to a more harmonious existence. Buddhism's critique of materialism and ego-driven pursuits is especially pertinent in today's world. where these tendencies often dominate. The teachings remind us that true happiness cannot be found in external achievements, but must be cultivated internally. This message is exemplified in the story of a wealthy man who, despite having everything, feels a profound emptiness. Through Buddhist practice, he learns to let go of his attachments and discovers a deeper sense of fulfillment. Ultimately, Buddhism's enduring appeal lies in its ability to address the core of human suffering with compassion and clarity. It challenges us to look beyond superficial answers and confront the truths of our existence. By doing so, it offers not just solace but a path to genuine liberation, whether through meditation, ethical living, or the pursuit of wisdom. The teachings of Buddha continue to inspire and guide those seeking a deeper understanding of life. Buddhism's unique nature lies in its departure from the traditional framework of religion. It does not demand faith in dogmas, adherence to sacred texts, or belief in a deity or afterlife. Instead, it offers a philosophy rooted in awareness, self-exploration, and liberation from suffering. This approach is profoundly practical and resonates deeply with individuals in a modern world increasingly leaning towards secular spirituality. At its core, Buddhism addresses universal human experiences: suffering, desire, and the search for meaning without the need for an overarching supernatural narrative. One of the most striking aspects of Buddhism is its rejection of blind faith. Unlike many religions that require unwavering belief in divine entities or sacred doctrines, Buddhism encourages individuals to question, explore, and experience its teachings firsthand. This focus on self-exploration aligns well with contemporary values of individual autonomy and intellectual curiosity. In a world where many people are disillusioned by organized religion, Buddhism offers an alternative, a spiritual path that does not rely on external authority. Instead, it invites individuals to embark on an inward journey to understand the nature of their existence and transcend the limitations of ego and desire. To illustrate this, consider the story of a young professional disillusioned by the traditional religious environment in which she was raised. She had spent years attending services, reciting prayers, and adhering to prescribed rituals, but found herself increasingly disconnected. Despite doing everything right, her inner turmoil and questions about life's purpose remained unanswered. Seeking solace, she began exploring mindfulness and meditation through a Buddhist lens. What she discovered was not a rigid set of beliefs, but a method for observing and understanding her own mind. For the first time, she felt empowered to address her suffering directly rather than seeking comfort in external assurances. Through consistent practice, she found a sense of clarity and peace that had eluded her in the confines of dogmatic faith. Buddhism's focus on self-liberation rather than salvation by an external force is another aspect that distinguishes it. The Buddhist teachings emphasize that enlightenment comes from within. It is a personal realization rather than a gift bestowed by a divine being. This idea is profoundly liberating because it places the responsibility for one's spiritual growth squarely in their own hands. In a culture that often looks outward for solutions, whether through material possessions, relationships, or religious practices, this inward focus challenges the prevailing narrative. It suggests that true contentment and freedom are not found in acquiring or achieving, but in letting go and understanding. This perspective resonates particularly strongly with modern secular spirituality. In an era where traditional religious institutions are often seen as outdated or restrictive, many people are seeking a spiritual path that feels authentic and relevant to their lives. Buddhism's emphasis on mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness fits seamlessly into this context. Practices like meditation have been widely embraced, not only as spiritual exercises, but also as tools for mental and emotional well-being. They offer tangible benefits, such as reduced stress and improved focus, which appeal to people regardless of their religious beliefs. For instance, mindfulness meditation has gained significant traction in corporate environments, schools, and healthcare settings. Consider the case of a high-level executive struggling with stress and burnout. He initially dismissed meditation as a mystical or religious practice, but decided to try it after a recommendation from a colleague. To his surprise, the practice had nothing to do with worship or faith. Instead, it involved observing his thoughts and emotions without judgment. Over time, he found that this simple act of awareness helped him navigate challenges with greater clarity and resilience. Although he did not identify as Buddhist, the principles underlying his practice were deeply rooted in the teachings of the Buddha. The rejection of a deity or heaven in Buddhism further sets it apart from other religious systems. Rather than focusing on the afterlife or divine intervention, Buddhism directs attention to the present moment. It teaches that the source of suffering is not external but lies within our attachments, desires, and ignorance. By addressing these internal factors, we can free ourselves from the cycles of dissatisfaction that characterize much of human experience. This pragmatic approach appeals to those who value reason and evidence over faith and mysticism. An example of this can be seen in the growing popularity of secular meditation retreats. These retreats often draw participants from diverse backgrounds, including atheists and agnostics, who are looking for practical tools to enhance their quality of life. During these retreats, participants engage in practices like mindfulness and reflection, often without any mention of religious doctrines. The focus is on cultivating awareness and equanimity, which are central to Buddhist philosophy. Many attendees leave these retreats with a deeper understanding of themselves and a renewed sense of purpose, even if they do not identify as Buddhist. Buddhism also challenges the traditional notion of worship. In many religions, worship involves venerating a deity through prayers, rituals, and offerings. In contrast, Buddhism encourages individuals to turn their attention inward. The idea is not to seek favor or blessings from an external force, but to develop qualities like mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom within oneself. This inward focus can be transformative, as it shifts the locus of control from an external deity to the individual's own mind and actions. Take, for example, a middle-aged woman who had spent years praying for relief from her struggles. When she discovered Buddhism, she was struck by its emphasis on self-awareness and personal responsibility. Rather than asking for help from above, she began practicing mindfulness to better understand her thoughts and emotions. Over time, she realized that much of her suffering was rooted in her own expectations and attachments. By letting go of these, she found a sense of peace that no amount of prayer had been able to provide. The practicality of Buddhism extends to its teachings on the nature of reality. The Buddha taught that much of what we perceive is shaped by our own minds. Our attachments and aversions distort our perception, leading to suffering. By cultivating awareness, we can begin to see things as they truly are, free from the biases of desire and fear. This insight is both profound and empowering, as it suggests that we have the ability to change our experience of the world by changing our relationship with it. In today's context, this teaching is particularly relevant. Modern life is filled with distractions and pressures that pull us away from the present moment. Social media, for instance, often amplifies feelings of inadequacy and longing by presenting curated images of other people's lives. Buddhism offers a counterpoint to this by encouraging individuals to look beyond appearances and focus on their own inner reality. Through mindfulness, we can break free from the endless comparisons and judgments that fuel our dissatisfaction. The accessibility and adaptability of Buddhism further contribute to its appeal. Unlike some religious systems that require adherence to specific rituals or doctrines, Buddhism allows individuals to engage with its teachings at their own pace and level of understanding. This flexibility makes it an attractive option for those who may be skeptical of traditional religious structures but are still seeking a sense of purpose and connection. In summary, Buddhism's unique nature lies in its focus on awareness, self-exploration, and liberation from suffering, rather than faith in external entities or doctrines. Its teachings resonate deeply with modern secular spirituality, offering practical tools for navigating life's challenges. Whether through mindfulness meditation, the rejection of blind faith, or the emphasis on personal responsibility, Buddhism provides a path that is both timeless and profoundly relevant to the complexities of contemporary life. Its ability to address universal human struggles while remaining adaptable to individual needs ensures its enduring appeal in a world searching for meaning and authenticity. Buddha's perspective on the concept of God as a human invention reflects a profound understanding of human vulnerability and the existential need for meaning. He argued that the belief in a deity arises from our innate fear of chaos and the uncertainty of life. By attributing the mysteries of existence to a divine being, humans create a sense of order and purpose, providing comfort in an otherwise unpredictable world. This perspective resonates with modern philosophical and psychological studies that explore how humans cope with the vast unknowns of existence and their inherent limitations. One of the central ideas in Buddha's teaching is that God is not a reality but a projection of human desires and fears. People often imagine a divine entity as omnipotent and omniscient, offering solace and protection in times of hardship. This belief provides a structure to life's uncertainties. Much like the idea of a pilot guiding an airplane offers passengers reassurance. Without this metaphorical pilot, many feel lost or directionless. Buddha, however, challenged this notion, suggesting that such beliefs are a crutch that prevents individuals from confronting the true nature of reality. Instead of relying on the comfort of divine oversight, he urged people to take responsibility for their own lives and seek understanding through personal insight. This perspective aligns closely with modern psychology, which delves into the human need for control and certainty. Studies have shown that when individuals face uncertainty, they often turn to systems of belief or external authorities to make sense of their experiences. For example, during times of crisis, many find solace in prayer or rituals, believing that a higher power is watching over them. This reliance mirrors what Buddha described as a projection of human vulnerability. While such practices can provide temporary relief, they often prevent people from addressing the root causes of their fears and anxieties. Philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Ludwig Feuerbach have similarly critiqued the concept of God as a human construct. Feuerbach famously argued that God is a projection of humanity's idealized self, embodying the qualities people wish to possess. Nietzsche, on the other hand, declared the death of God, suggesting that modern society had outgrown its need for religious explanations. Both perspectives echo Buddha's teachings by emphasizing that belief in God often reflects human limitations rather than divine reality. The desire for an all-knowing deity stems from the same existential questions that Buddha addressed. Why are we here? What is our purpose? How do we navigate life's uncertainties? In contemporary society, the role of God has, in many cases, been supplanted by other systems and ideologies. Technology, for instance, has become a modern substitute for God, offering solutions and a sense of control over life's unpredictabilities. People place immense faith in technological advancements, believing that they can solve everything from climate change to personal well-being. Social media algorithms, artificial intelligence, and data-driven decision-making are often treated with a reverence once reserved for divine intervention. While these systems undoubtedly provide benefits, they also reflect humanity's ongoing search for meaning and security in a chaotic world. Consider the rise of self-help apps and platforms that promise to enhance mental health, productivity, or personal relationships. These tools often act as a surrogate for spiritual guidance, offering users structured pathways to navigate their lives. Like religious practices, they provide a framework for understanding and managing the complexities of existence. However, as Buddha would argue, relying too heavily on these systems can lead to a superficial sense of control, masking deeper existential questions. True liberation, according to his teachings, comes not from external solutions but from internal awareness and understanding. Ideologies, too, have taken on the role of modern God substitutes. Political systems, economic theories, and social movements often function as frameworks through which people find purpose and belonging. For instance, Marxism replaces the concept of divine will with historical determinism, suggesting that history follows an inevitable path shaped by material conditions. Similarly, capitalism offers its own version of salvation, promising happiness and fulfillment through consumption and economic success. These ideologies, like the concept of God, provide a narrative that helps individuals make sense of their place in the world. Yet, As Buddha observed, such narratives often prevent people from confronting the deeper truths of their existence. An illustrative example of this can be seen in the way people respond to societal challenges. During economic downturns or political crises, there is often a surge in support for ideologies that promise stability and order, just as belief in God offers comfort in the face of chaos. These systems provide a sense of direction and purpose. However, they also perpetuate the same cycle of dependence that Buddha warned against. By relying on external structures to define their lives, individuals risk losing touch with their own agency and capacity for self-understanding. Buddha's teachings challenge this reliance by emphasizing the importance of self-awareness and personal responsibility. He argued that true freedom comes not from placing faith in external entities, whether divine or ideological, but from understanding the nature of reality. This understanding requires confronting life's uncertainties directly, without the filter of belief systems. It is a process of awakening to the impermanence and interconnectedness of all things, which can lead to profound insights and a sense of peace. In the modern context, this approach is particularly relevant as people navigate an increasingly complex and interconnected world. The rapid pace of technological change, coupled with global challenges like climate change and economic inequality, has heightened feelings of uncertainty and vulnerability. While traditional religious beliefs may no longer hold the same sway, the human need for meaning and security remains. Buddha's teachings offer a timeless framework for addressing these needs, encouraging individuals to turn inward and cultivate mindfulness, compassion, and understanding. For example, mindfulness practices, rooted in Buddhist philosophy, have gained widespread popularity as tools for managing stress and enhancing well-being. These practices encourage individuals to observe their thoughts and emotions without judgment, fostering a deeper awareness of their inner experiences. Unlike systems that promise external solutions, mindfulness empowers people to develop their own capacity for insight and resilience. This aligns with Buddha's vision of self-liberation, where individuals take ownership of their spiritual growth rather than relying on external authorities. Buddha's critique of the concept of God also extends to the way people approach morality and ethics. In many religious systems, moral behavior is often tied to the will of a divine being or the promise of rewards in the afterlife. Buddha, however, rejected this conditional approach, advocating for ethical living as a means of reducing suffering and cultivating compassion. This perspective challenges the notion that morality requires a divine foundation, suggesting instead that it arises from our shared humanity and interconnectedness. In today's world, this view has gained traction among secular humanists and philosophers who argue that ethical behavior can be grounded in reason and empathy rather than religious doctrine. For instance, movements advocating for social justice or environmental sustainability often draw on principles of compassion and collective responsibility, which align closely with Buddhist ethics. These efforts demonstrate that it is possible to live a meaningful and ethical life without relying on the concept of God or divine authority. Ultimately, Buddha's view of God as a human invention reflects a deep understanding of the psychological and existential needs that drive belief. By challenging these beliefs, he encouraged individuals to confront their vulnerabilities and seek liberation through self-awareness and understanding. In a world where traditional religious frameworks are increasingly being replaced by technology, ideologies, and other systems, his teachings remain profoundly relevant. They offer a path toward true freedom, grounded not in external projections, but in the transformative power of inner awareness. Desire, as Buddha taught, is an insatiable force that drives much of human suffering. It creates an endless cycle of longing and dissatisfaction, where achieving one goal only paves the way for the next. This principle, known as dukkha, or the inherent unsatisfactoriness of life, resonates deeply in the modern world, particularly when viewed through the lens of consumerism and the relentless pursuit of material success. In a society driven by constant advertising, social comparison, and the allure of more, Buddha's teachings offer a stark reminder of the futility of chasing external fulfillment. Imagine someone who has worked tirelessly to achieve their version of the American dream. They start from modest beginnings, climb the corporate ladder, and eventually land their dream job, complete with a six-figure salary, a luxury car, and a beautiful home. For a while, the satisfaction of achieving these milestones is exhilarating. Friends and family admire their success, and they feel as though they have made it. But over time, the thrill fades. The car that once symbolized status and accomplishment begins to feel ordinary. The house no longer feels big enough, and the salary, while impressive, doesn't seem to stretch as far as they expected. What began as a pinnacle of success becomes another step in an endless pursuit of more. This story mirrors the experience of countless individuals in modern society. Consumer culture perpetuates the belief that happiness is just one purchase, one promotion, or one milestone away. Advertisements promise fulfillment through the latest gadget, luxury vacation, or designer clothing, while social media amplifies feelings of inadequacy by showcasing curated snapshots of others' lives. The cycle is relentless. As soon as one desire is fulfilled, another takes its place. This is the nature of desire that Buddha warned against. It is not simply that desires arise, they are self-replicating, creating a loop that traps people in a state of perpetual yearning. Consider the phenomenon of upgrade culture, where individuals replace perfectly functional items with newer models simply because they exist. Smartphones are a prime example. A person might be thrilled to purchase the latest device, enjoying its sleek design and advanced features. Yet within a year, a newer model is released, and their once cherished phone begins to feel outdated. The excitement fades, replaced by a new desire to acquire the upgraded version. This cycle illustrates how desire operates. It is always forward-looking, never content with what is already present. Buddha's teaching on desire is not limited to material possessions. It extends to all aspects of human life, including relationships, achievements, and even spiritual pursuits. Take, for example, someone who dreams of finding their soulmate. They believe that meeting the right person will bring them lasting happiness. When they do find someone, and the initial rush of romance fades, they begin to notice imperfections and unmet expectations. Instead of feeling fulfilled, they start wondering if someone else might be a better match. This pattern of dissatisfaction is not unique to relationships. It applies to careers, hobbies, and virtually every area of life where desires play a role. In many ways, modern society reinforces this cycle. Success is often measured by external markers, titles, income, possessions that are inherently fleeting. A person who achieves a promotion may feel proud initially, but soon the new role brings its own challenges and pressures. The satisfaction of achieving the goal is short-lived, as new ambitions take its place. This is why Buddha emphasized that desire cannot be satisfied by fulfilling desires. Instead, it must be transcended. One powerful example of this principle is the story of a celebrity who seemingly has it all: fame, wealth, and adoration from millions. Yet, many of these individuals struggle with feelings of emptiness and unhappiness despite their outward success. Interviews with some of the world's most famous figures often reveal that the achievements they worked so hard for did not bring the fulfillment they expected. This paradox underscores Buddha's teaching that external accomplishments, no matter how grand, cannot address the deeper existential longing within. Consumerism exacerbates this dynamic by equating self-worth with consumption. From a young age, people are conditioned to believe that their value is tied to what they own or achieve. Marketing strategies play on insecurities, creating desires that did not previously exist. For example, beauty industries often promote unattainable standards, convincing individuals that they need specific products to be attractive or accepted. These desires, once internalized, drive endless cycles of purchasing and striving, yet they rarely lead to lasting satisfaction. Buddha's insight into desire goes beyond critiquing its insatiable nature. He also offered a path to liberation. By understanding the root of desire and observing how it operates, individuals can begin to break free from its grip. Mindfulness is one such tool that allows people to step back and observe their cravings without being controlled by them. For instance, someone might notice the impulse to buy a new gadget and, instead of acting on it immediately, Reflect on whether it is truly necessary or if it stems from a deeper sense of dissatisfaction. This awareness creates space for conscious choices, reducing the power of desire to dictate behavior. The idea of transcending desire can seem counterintuitive in a world that celebrates ambition and achievement. However, Buddhist teachings do not advocate for passivity or renunciation of all goals. Instead, they encourage individuals to approach life with a sense of detachment and clarity. Desires themselves are not inherently bad. It is the clinging to them and the belief that they hold the key to happiness that causes suffering. By letting go of this attachment, individuals can engage with the world more freely and joyfully. One practical application of this principle can be seen in the minimalist movement, where individuals intentionally simplify their lives by reducing their possessions. Many who adopt this lifestyle report feeling a greater sense of freedom and contentment. By letting go of the constant pursuit of more, they are able to focus on what truly matters, whether it's relationships, personal growth, or meaningful experiences. This aligns closely with Buddha's teaching that liberation comes not from acquiring but from releasing. Ultimately, Buddha's insights into desire and suffering offer a timeless framework for understanding the human condition. In a world that often prioritizes external success over inner fulfillment, his teachings provide a counterbalance, reminding us that true contentment cannot be found in the endless pursuit of more. Whether through mindfulness, intentional living, or simply observing the nature of our desires, we can begin to break free from the cycles of dissatisfaction and discover a deeper sense of peace. The concept of no self in Buddhism challenges one of the most deeply ingrained assumptions in human consciousness: the idea that each of us is an independent, separate entity with a unique and permanent identity. Buddha taught that the self, as we commonly understand it, is an illusion, a construct born from our attachments to the body, thoughts, and experiences. Instead of existing as distinct and isolated beings, we are part of a universal consciousness, interconnected with all life. This idea not only has profound philosophical implications, but also offers practical insights for overcoming ego-driven decisions and cultivating a more harmonious way of living. The notion of no self may seem counterintuitive at first because so much of our daily experience is framed around the idea of individuality. We identify ourselves through labels, our names, jobs, beliefs, and relationships, and build our lives around the assumption that these labels define who we are. However, Buddhism argues that this sense of a fixed self is an illusion. Just as a river is not a static entity but a flow of water continuously changing, so too is what we call self, a dynamic process shaped by countless factors. There is no permanent, unchanging core beneath the surface. This perspective aligns with modern psychology, particularly in understanding how the mind constructs identity. Studies in cognitive science suggest that the brain creates a sense of self through a combination of memories, perceptions, and emotions. These elements are constantly shifting, yet we cling to them as if they form a cohesive and enduring me. Recognizing the fluidity of identity can help loosen the grip of ego, which often drives us to make decisions rooted in self-centeredness and fear. To illustrate the interconnectedness of all things, consider the metaphor of continents and maps. On a map, we see distinct boundaries separating countries and continents. These lines create the illusion of separation, but beneath the surface of the oceans, there is only one continuous landmass. Similarly, the boundaries we perceive between ourselves and others are superficial. At a deeper level, we are all connected, like threads in a vast web. This understanding can shift our perspective from competition and division to cooperation and unity. An example of this interconnectedness can be seen in the natural world. A tree, for instance, depends on sunlight, soil, water, and countless microorganisms to survive. It does not exist in isolation, but as part of a larger ecosystem. In the same way, human beings are deeply interdependent. Our actions, thoughts, and decisions ripple outward, affecting others in ways we may not immediately see. Recognizing this can lead to a greater sense of responsibility and compassion. As we begin to understand that what we do to others, we ultimately do to ourselves, The concept of no self also has profound implications for overcoming ego-driven behavior. Much of the conflict and suffering in the world arises from the belief in a separate self that must be defended or elevated above others. Whether it's in personal relationships, workplace dynamics, or global politics, the ego often fuels competition, jealousy, and resentment. By letting go of the illusion of a fixed self, we can approach situations with greater openness and equanimity. Decisions become less about winning or losing and more about finding solutions that benefit the whole. For example, consider a workplace conflict where two colleagues are vying for recognition. Each feels the need to assert their superiority, driven by the ego's desire for validation. If either were to embrace the idea of no self, they might realize that their achievements are not entirely their own, but the result of collaboration and support from others. This shift in perspective could transform the conflict into an opportunity for teamwork and mutual growth, rather than a battle for individual dominance. Philosophically, the concept of no self challenges the dualistic thinking that often dominates human thought. We tend to see the world in terms of opposite self and other, mind and body, subject and object. This duality creates a sense of separation that fuels the illusion of a distinct self. Buddhism, however, teaches that these divisions are artificial. Just as a wave is not separate from the ocean but a manifestation of it, we are not separate from the universe but expressions of its interconnected nature. This understanding can be particularly liberating when applied to the challenges of daily life. Take the example of someone facing criticism. The ego's instinct is to react defensively, interpreting the criticism as an attack on the self. But if there is no fixed self to defend, the criticism loses its sting. Instead of taking it personally, the individual can view it as feedback and decide how to respond constructively. This approach not only reduces stress, but also fosters personal growth. The interconnectedness of all things also has practical implications for addressing global challenges. Issues like climate change, economic inequality, and social injustice are often exacerbated by the belief in separateness. When people see themselves as isolated individuals, they may prioritize their immediate needs over the well-being of others or the planet. However, recognizing that we are all part of the same web of life can inspire collective action and a sense of shared responsibility. A powerful example of this can be seen in grassroots environmental movements. Many activists are motivated by the understanding that protecting the earth is not just about preserving resources for future generations, but about recognizing our intrinsic connection to nature. This perspective aligns with the Buddhist view that harming the environment is ultimately harming ourselves because we are not separate from the ecosystems that sustain us. In relationships, the concept of no self can transform the way we interact with others. When we cling to a rigid sense of identity, we often impose expectations and judgments on those around us. This can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts, as we project our own desires and fears onto others. By letting go of the illusion of self, we can approach relationships with greater empathy and understanding. Instead of seeing others as extensions of our own needs, we can appreciate them as unique manifestations of the same universal consciousness. For instance, a parent struggling to connect with their teenage child might find relief in this perspective. Instead of trying to mold the child into a reflection of their own hopes and ambitions, the parent can begin to see the child as an independent being with their own journey. This shift can foster a deeper, more compassionate relationship based on mutual respect rather than control. The idea of no self also challenges the way we perceive success and failure. In a culture that often equates self-worth with achievements, the ego becomes heavily invested in outcomes. Failing at a task feels like a personal defeat, while succeeding brings temporary validation. However, if there is no fixed self, success and failure lose their power to define us. They become simply experiences, opportunities to learn and grow rather than measures of our intrinsic value. This perspective can be particularly helpful in high-pressure environments like academics or sports. A student preparing for a crucial exam, for instance, might feel overwhelmed by the fear of failure. By embracing the concept of no self, they can detach from the outcome and focus on the process of learning. This not only reduces anxiety but also enhances performance, as the mind is freed from the ego's need for validation. Ultimately, the concept of no-self invites us to see the world in a new way. It challenges the illusion of separateness and encourages us to embrace our interconnectedness with all life. This shift in perspective has the power to transform how we think, feel, and act, fostering greater compassion, resilience, and harmony, whether in personal relationships, societal challenges, or our inner struggles. Buddha's teaching of no-self offers a path to freedom from the limitations of ego and the realization of our shared existence. Buddhism's teachings emphasize a practical approach to living, grounded in adaptability and a rejection of dogmatism. At its core, Buddhism is less about adhering to rigid doctrines and more about providing tools for individuals to navigate the complexities of life. Its focus on mindfulness, meditation, and ethical conduct makes it a universal framework for personal transformation, offering guidance that remains relevant across cultures and eras. This practicality has allowed Buddhism to thrive and resonate in modern times, addressing challenges such as stress, emotional turmoil, and the search for meaning in an ever-changing world. Mindfulness is one of the most recognizable and widely practiced aspects of Buddhism in contemporary society. It involves cultivating awareness of the present moment without judgment, helping individuals break free from the cycle of ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. This practice aligns with the demands of modern life, where distractions and pressures often pull people away from being fully present. Through mindfulness, individuals can develop greater clarity, emotional balance, and resilience, enabling them to respond to challenges with equanimity rather than reactivity. Consider the example of a professional working in a high-stress corporate environment. Each day, they are bombarded with deadlines, meetings, and the pressure to outperform colleagues. Over time, this relentless pace begins to take a toll, leading to burnout and diminished well-being. In search of relief, the professional attends a mindfulness workshop, where they are introduced to techniques such as mindful breathing and body scanning. Initially skeptical, they gradually incorporate these practices into their daily routine, setting aside 10 minutes each morning to meditate. The results are transformative. They find themselves better able to focus during meetings, handle setbacks with greater composure, and maintain a sense of calm even in the face of mounting pressures. While the external demands of their job remain the same, their internal response has fundamentally shifted, illustrating the power of mindfulness as a tool for navigating modern challenges. Meditation, another cornerstone of Buddhist practice, offers similar benefits by fostering a deeper connection with the self and the present moment. Unlike mindfulness, which is often practiced throughout daily activities, meditation involves setting aside dedicated time for reflection and stillness. This practice helps individuals cultivate a sense of inner peace and detachment, allowing them to see their thoughts and emotions with greater clarity. In a world that often values productivity and achievement above all else, meditation provides a counterbalance, reminding people of the importance of introspection and rest. Take, for instance, the story of a young entrepreneur who built a successful tech startup but found themselves overwhelmed by the demands of running a growing business. Despite achieving financial success, they struggled with anxiety, sleepless nights, and a constant feeling of inadequacy. At the suggestion of a mentor, they began attending weekly meditation sessions at a local Buddhist center. Initially, the practice felt foreign and challenging, as their mind was constantly racing with thoughts about work. However, over time, they learned to observe these thoughts without attachment, recognizing them as temporary and impermanent. This shift in perspective not only improved their mental health, but also enhanced their ability to lead, as they became more present and empathetic in their interactions with employees and clients. Buddhism's practical teachings also extend to ethical living, which emphasizes compassion, honesty, and non-harming. These principles are not presented as commandments to be followed blindly, but as guidelines for reducing suffering and fostering harmony. By encouraging individuals to reflect on the consequences of their actions, Buddhism promotes a more thoughtful and intentional approach to decision-making. This adaptability makes it particularly relevant in addressing modern ethical dilemmas, from environmental sustainability to social justice. For example, consider a community leader working to address food insecurity in their city. Inspired by Buddhist principles, they adopt an approach rooted in compassion and mindfulness, seeking to understand the systemic causes of hunger rather than simply treating its symptoms. By collaborating with local farmers, businesses, and volunteers, they create a sustainable food distribution network that not only provides meals but also empowers individuals to become self-sufficient. This holistic approach reflects the Buddhist emphasis on addressing the root causes of suffering while fostering interconnectedness and mutual support. The relativity embedded in Buddhist teachings further underscores their practicality. Buddha acknowledged that truth is not absolute but contextual, varying based on individual perspectives and circumstances. This recognition of relativity encourages openness and adaptability, allowing individuals to tailor Buddhist practices to their unique needs and challenges. Unlike dogmatic systems that demand uniform adherence, Buddhism invites individuals to experiment, question, and find what works for them. A contemporary example of this adaptability can be seen in the integration of mindfulness into Western healthcare. Programs like mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, draw on Buddhist principles to help patients manage conditions such as chronic pain, depression, and anxiety. These programs do not require participants to adopt Buddhist beliefs. Instead, they focus on practical techniques that can be applied regardless of one's religious or cultural background. This flexibility has made mindfulness an accessible and effective tool for millions, demonstrating the universal relevance of Buddhist teachings. Buddhism's rejection of dogmatism also fosters a sense of humility and curiosity, rather than presenting a definitive answer to life's questions. It encourages individuals to explore and discover their own truths. This approach is particularly valuable in a world where certainty often leads to conflict and division. By embracing uncertainty and acknowledging the limitations of human understanding, Buddhism cultivates a mindset of openness and dialogue. For instance, in a polarized political climate, a Buddhist-inspired perspective might encourage individuals to approach disagreements with curiosity rather than hostility. Instead of trying to prove their point or change the other person's mind, they might focus on understanding the underlying concerns and values driving the opposing viewpoint. This approach not only reduces tension but also creates opportunities for finding common ground, reflecting Buddhism's emphasis on compassion and interconnectedness. The transformative power of Buddhist practices is perhaps best illustrated through personal success stories. One such story involves a middle-aged teacher who, after years of dedicated service, found themselves struggling with burnout and disillusionment, feeling unappreciated and disconnected from their students. They considered leaving the profession altogether. However, after attending a retreat focused on Buddhist teachings, they began incorporating mindfulness and meditation into their daily routine. These practices helped them reconnect with their sense of purpose, enabling them to approach their work with renewed enthusiasm and compassion. By letting go of their attachment to external validation, they found joy in the simple act of teaching, profoundly impacting both their own well-being and the lives of their students. Ultimately, Buddhism's practical teachings offer a roadmap for navigating the complexities of modern life with grace and resilience. Whether through mindfulness, meditation, ethical living, or an openness to relativity, these practices provide tools for personal growth and collective harmony. They remind us that while life's challenges may be inevitable, our response to them is within our control, a powerful lesson that continues to inspire and transform lives across the globe. Buddhism offers a profound path toward awareness, self-discovery, and liberation, providing timeless lessons that are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. Its teachings emphasize the importance of living with intention and cultivating a deeper understanding of oneself and the world, rather than presenting a set of beliefs to be accepted without question. Buddhism invites individuals to approach its principles as experiments in truth, encouraging personal exploration and direct experience. This approach fosters a sense of autonomy and empowerment, making its practices accessible to people of all backgrounds and belief systems. The first and perhaps most transformative lesson Buddhism teaches is the power of awareness. In a world where distractions are constant and life moves at a relentless pace, the ability to be fully present is a skill that can radically improve the quality of one's experiences. Awareness is not merely about noticing what is happening in the moment, but observing it with clarity and without judgment. It allows individuals to break free from automatic reactions, whether those reactions are rooted in anger, fear, or desire, and respond to situations with greater thoughtfulness and compassion. Consider a parent juggling the demands of work and family. When a child throws a tantrum after a long day, the natural reaction might be frustration or impatience. However, with the practice of awareness, the parent can pause, acknowledge their own fatigue, and approach the situation with a calmer mindset. This small shift not only diffuses tension but also models emotional regulation for the child, fostering a more harmonious relationship. Such moments, multiplied over time, can transform the dynamics of a household, illustrating how awareness creates ripple effects that extend beyond the individual. Buddhism also emphasizes the importance of self-discovery, encouraging individuals to look inward to understand their thoughts, emotions, and motivations. This process is not about labeling oneself as good or bad, but recognizing patterns that contribute to suffering or contentment. Self-discovery helps dismantle illusions about identity, allowing people to see themselves and others more clearly. It reveals how often we cling to ideas, relationships, and possessions in an attempt to define ourselves, only to find that these attachments ultimately fail to bring lasting fulfillment. A relevant example can be found in the modern pursuit of success. Many people equate their self-worth with their achievements, striving for promotions, accolades, or material wealth to feel validated. Yet, as numerous studies and personal accounts have shown, external success rarely satisfies the deeper need for purpose and connection. By turning inward and questioning these assumptions, individuals can begin to realign their priorities, focusing less on external markers and more on what truly brings joy and meaning. One of the most actionable lessons Buddhism offers is the practice of mindfulness. Unlike abstract concepts that are difficult to implement, mindfulness provides a tangible method for cultivating presence and clarity. It can be as simple as paying attention to the breath, noticing the sensations of walking, or savoring a meal without distractions. These practices anchor individuals in the present moment, helping them navigate life's challenges with greater ease. For example, someone overwhelmed by a demanding job might take a few minutes during their lunch break to practice mindful breathing. This brief pause can help reset their mind, reducing stress and improving focus for the rest of the day. Mindfulness is not limited to individual practices. It can also transform interpersonal relationships. By listening to others with full attention and without forming immediate judgments, people can foster deeper connections and resolve conflicts more effectively. Imagine a manager handling a disagreement between team members. Instead of rushing to impose a solution, the manager might practice mindful listening, ensuring that each person feels heard and understood. This approach not only resolves the issue more constructively, but also strengthens trust within the team, creating a more collaborative work environment. Another practical application of Buddhist principles is the act of questioning desires. Buddhism teaches that desire, while natural, often leads to suffering when it becomes excessive or misdirected. By examining the motivations behind their desires, individuals can distinguish between what truly enriches their lives and what merely serves as a temporary distraction. For instance, someone considering a major purchase might pause to reflect on whether it stems from a genuine need or a fleeting impulse driven by social comparison. This moment of introspection can prevent unnecessary expenditures and foster a greater sense of contentment with what they already have. This questioning of desires extends beyond material possessions to encompass broader aspects of life, such as career choices or personal goals. A professional considering a high-paying but stressful job might reflect on whether the financial reward aligns with their values and long-term well-being. By prioritizing inner peace over external validation, they may choose a path that brings greater fulfillment. even if it defies societal expectations. This deliberate approach to decision-making is a hallmark of Buddhist practice, empowering individuals to act in alignment with their true selves rather than societal pressures. Compassion is another cornerstone of Buddhist teachings that has profound practical implications. By cultivating compassion, individuals can break down barriers of judgment and division, fostering greater understanding and empathy. This principle can be applied in countless situations, from comforting a friend in distress to volunteering for a cause that supports those in need. Compassion also extends to oneself, encouraging individuals to treat their own mistakes and shortcomings with kindness rather than harsh self-criticism. For example, a student struggling with academic challenges might remind themselves that failure is a natural part of learning, approaching their efforts with renewed determination rather than despair. To integrate these lessons into daily life, Buddhism encourages consistent practice rather than perfection. Small, incremental changes can lead to significant transformation over time. A person might start by setting aside 5 minutes each morning for meditation, gradually increasing the duration as they become more comfortable. Similarly, they might make a conscious effort to express gratitude each day, focusing on the positive aspects of their life rather than dwelling on what they lack. These simple practices can create a foundation for deeper spiritual growth, demonstrating that meaningful change is both achievable and sustainable. A powerful example of this transformation can be seen in the story of a woman who turned to Buddhist practices after facing a series of personal setbacks. Following the loss of her job and the end of a long-term relationship, she felt adrift, unsure of how to move forward. At the recommendation of a friend, she began attending mindfulness classes and exploring Buddhist teachings. Through these practices, she learned to sit with her emotions rather than suppressing them, gaining insight into the root causes of her pain. Over time, she developed a sense of resilience and clarity, finding joy in small, everyday moments rather than fixating on her losses. This shift not only improved her mental health, but also strengthened her relationships and renewed her sense of purpose. Buddhism's practical teachings offer a roadmap for living with greater awareness, compassion, and intentionality. By experimenting with these principles and adapting them to their unique circumstances, individuals can cultivate a more fulfilling and harmonious way of life. The path is not about achieving a fixed state of enlightenment, but about continually learning and growing through each experience. This journey of self-discovery and liberation is open to everyone, regardless of their background or beliefs, making Buddhism a timeless guide for navigating the challenges and opportunities of the human experience. And so, we come to the end of this journey, a journey not to an external destination but inward, to the heart of who we are. We've explored how Buddhism's teachings on awareness, self-discovery, and letting go can reshape how we live, how we think, and how we connect with the world around us. These lessons remind us that true peace doesn't come from adding more, but from understanding what we truly need, and often, that's far less than we imagine. Now, I want to leave you with a question. What would happen if, just for today, you paused the endless chase, set aside your desires, and simply experienced life as it is? Perhaps the answers you've been seeking are already within you, waiting to be discovered. If you found value in today's video, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, share this with friends or family who might benefit, and subscribe to our channel for more content that challenges and inspires. And let's continue this conversation in the comments. What part of today's discussion resonated with you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, the path to liberation isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. Until next time, take care, stay mindful, and keep exploring the incredible possibilities within you.